Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I have another video for you using the Petal Park stamp set and the punch, which I'm pretty sure are retiring. I think the Sentimental Park, which was also part of this suite in the current annual catalogue, is staying in the new annual catalogue, but I'm pretty sure Petal Park is retiring. I might be wrong, happy to be proved wrong, but nevertheless, we're going to do another card with it today because I like it. Okay, so this time I've done a book fold card. So it has this flap here, opens up like that. Now I haven't cut an insert to go in the middle yet. I will do that, obviously, and I'll give you all the measurements. Okay, so I'm going to put this card to one side and let's get started. So, first of all, I've cut all my bits and pieces that I need. This is half of an A4 sheet if you're in the UK, or half of the, I think you call it letterhead, if you're not in the UK and have a different size. So it's half cut lengthways. So that then gives us a card that is 14.8 by 10.5 deep. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I've already folded this, so I scored it at 14.8. Across the width of the card before I turned it that way to cut it. So the next thing we need to do is we need to score this front, but only this front section, and we need to score it at 3 centimeters away from the crease. So I've found the easiest way to do that is to use the line here between the centimeters and inches on my trimmer and make sure that that is level along that line. Then that way I know I'm scoring in a straight line. I've lined up the crease that we've already made against my 3 centimeter mark, and then I can just bring the scoring blade up and down a couple of times, and that will give us the fold that we want at the front. So I'm just going to fold that back and then just burnish that with my bone folder. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is stick this section down. So I'm going to open that up and I'm just going to put some glue. So you know you're putting it in the right place and not going too far over. Put it on the piece you've just scored. So I'm just going to put some glue down there. Now I haven't gone right to the edges because we don't want it to squeeze out. And then we're just going to shut that, and I'm going to hold that back there, and that way I can just double check there's no glue coming out of there, but there isn't. Okay, so that's got our book piece, book fold section glued down, so the card then opens like that. Okay, now I've gone ahead and I've cut some cardstock. Now for the eagle-eyed of you watching this video, you might notice that this is a new colour. It's one of the 5 new in colours, and it's called Summer Splash. So I'm giving you a bit of a sneak peek. But the papers that I'm using are the Forever Love 12 by 12 Speciality Designer Series papers, which are available in the annual catalogue that's current. And I'm pretty sure they're not going over to the new annual catalogue. So I thought I'd use them up. This is actually gold and Pretty Peacock, but I think you'll agree that they actually coordinate really nicely. And that's the thing I love about Stampin' Up. They do make sure that all of our colours coordinate really nicely. And in the new catalogue, there is actually a colour wheel to give you some ideas of which colours you can put together, and they're not always the obvious colours, and I think they are working on a colour wheel that we can actually purchase in the future, so we'll be able to have it to hand rather than having to keep opening the catalogue. So this piece of designer series paper is cut at 10 by 11.3 because if you remember we took 3 centimeters off our 14.8 there. And we want it to have a small border all the way round. Just trying to get that level. Again, I'm using Tombow, which gives me a bit of wiggle room. And then I've got a small section, which is 10 centimetres long, and it is 2.5 centimetres wide. Now, don't do what I've just done. I've stuck this piece so the flowers go one way, and we want that piece to match. So we're going to turn it over. So always check your directions when you are sticking down or even cutting cardstock. Actually, I've done that so many times, cut a piece of cardstock and then realised it was going in the wrong direction. Okay, and I'm just going to have to lift this up because obviously I need to line this up with the top and bottom of the piece we've already stuck on. Otherwise it will look wonky. There we go, and I just got a little bit of glue there, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I always wear jeans when I'm crafting. Okay, so I end up wiping the glue on my trouser leg. Sorry, I should have clarified that. So that's the main part of our card. Then what I've done, I've used the detail section of the leaves. So we're not going to have to punch out any leaves for this because we've already got them. And I've stamped them using the Summer Splash. And I've die cut it with one of the rectangle, stitched rectangle dies. Which are these? Okay, so I think that's like a couple down in size. So I've die cut it with that. And it just fits on there. Okay, so this is going to go on some dimensionals. So I'm just rooting about for some larger ones. I had some in my hand a minute ago. What have I done with them? I don't know if any of you are like me. I do this all the... Oh, there they are. I put them down on my desk, cover them up with something, and then can't find them. Okay, so I'm literally just going to put one on each corner. Those ones didn't want to come off separate. And then I'm just going to dig my thumbnail into the middle of them, and that makes getting the lids off easier. Bring in my trusty little pot, which is filling up, as you can see. I love these little individual jam pots. In the UK, if you go for an afternoon tea, a lot of the time they give you one of these little individual jams, and if you stay in a hotel as well, you sometimes get them. Not always. A lot of places you get the plastic ones, but I love the little jars. In England, we have the National Trust, and they tend to give you these little jars with your afternoon tea. They're really handy. They're also really handy. I stand my Tombow up in one so that it's always ready for use. Okay, so now what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have punched out some of the flowers. Now again, I'm giving you another sneak peek because this is another new colour. Well, it is a new in colour, but for those of you that have been with Stampin' Up or following Stampin' Up for a long time, you might recognise it. It's pretty in pink. Now, when I first started as a demonstrator 11 years ago, that was one of the colours that I used quite a lot, and then it got retired when we had a colour refresh. But it was obviously missed because they've brought it back with the new in colours. So I'm going to bring in my piercing mat and my 3 flowers, and I'm only using 3, so this is literally the 3 flowers that punch out in one go. Just going to shut that punch. And again, I'm bringing in my Tombow. You've seen me do this in other videos, and I'm just literally using the tip of the Tombow just to shape my flowers a little bit. As I've said in previous videos, it's really good because it's got a nice rounded edge. There's no sharp bit on it. And it's nice and chunky to get hold of to push into your flowers on a mat and give them some definition and shape. And you could cut down, the petals if you wanted to. You could cut down here, which would give even more definition, but I'm happy with it as it is there. Okay, so the other thing I was going to say, when you're using this punch, I know I've done a previous video where I've talked about lining up the stamp for the punch. But with our punches generally, it's all, especially ones that have multiple images on, it's always a good idea to look at which direction they're going in and make sure that you stamp in that same direction. Also, don't start stamping at the top of a piece of paper. I'm just looking for a piece of scrap to show you. So this is a piece of basic white. I don't start here and stamp my images here because then you'd have to cut. I always start at the bottom, and left or right, doesn't really matter, and stamp my image, and then you can go straight in to the punch and you know it's going to be in the right direction. Okay, so let's just finish popping these on here. I'm just going to get my piercing mat out of the way because I'm not going to need that again. Okay, so I've put that one on, and it's just position the flowers where you want them, really. These dimensional bags go everywhere, which is why I try to contain them. Okay, so I'm just putting those in like that. Okay, and you could add gems. You could add you could put a little piece of ribbon down here if you wanted to, but I want this card to be quite simple. So I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmer to the middle of those flowers. And then what I'm going to do is take it over these small leaves that we've stamped. Okay, and there's our card. So let me bring the original one in. I think there probably is room to get another flower down here, but yeah, I like it like that. Okay, so there's our card. Nice, quick, easy card, but just looks effective, a little bit more than just a standard card fold. So I hope you like it. I hope you'll give the book fold a try. You can use it with all sorts of different stamps. And I will see you again soon for some more sneak peeks. So you've had a sneak peek of 2 of the new in colours. So you'll have to watch out and see if I show you any more. That's it for me for today, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching and happy stamping.